afternoon. I would now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Empire State Market Corporation for Wednesday, March 27th, 2019. I'd like to note for the record I will be the acting chair for today's meeting. Further, I would like to note that this meeting is being webcast and we welcome public comments on the agenda. Directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflicts of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. So I would ask you make a appropriate disclosure at the record at this time. We're sure to remind you that you should recuse yourself from any discussion or vote in regard to such item or items.
No conflicts.
No conflicts. Hearing none. The first order of business today is the approval of the minutes from the February 14th, 2019 minutes. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions?
No, sir.
Paul, I know you've got a comma or a question mark you'd like to add?
Nope. No, sir.
No? All right.
I'll move
If
approval.
no comments, any comment, or is that it? Look, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Right. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Jonathan Hornsby will present the next item on today's agenda, a request for the approval of the corporation's operating budget for the fiscal year 19-20. Jonathan.
Thank you. Good afternoon. New York State finance law requires that prior to the commencement of each new fiscal year, the directors of Empire State New Market Corporation adopt an annual operating budget. This is a request for approval of the proposed fiscal year 2019-20 operating budget. Empire State New Market Corporation was incorporated in 2004 for the purpose of applying for an allocation of federal new market tax credits from the Community Development Institutions Fund of the U.S. Department of Treasury. ESNMC received its first allocation of NMTCs in 2009 in the amount of $30 million. All of this initial allocation was deployed into NMTC projects for Agri-Pharma and Brooklyn Navy Yard Development Corporation. In 2016, ESNMC received a second allocation in the amount of $55 million. ESNMC has used $35.5 million of that allocation in connection with the National Comedy Center, SUNY Broome Culinary Arts Center, Cornell Medical Village, Boys and Girls Club of Schenectady, and Aldi NMTC transactions. ESNMC continues to service the closed transactions and expects to deploy the remainder of its $55 million allocation during the 2019 and 2020 calendar years. The ESNMC Board of Directors is thus presented with the proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2019-20. It is to be noted that ESNMC revenues come from fees charged on transactions. In fiscal year 2017-18, not 2018-19, I would like to note that change for the record. ESNMC revenue was approximately $700,000. In fiscal year 2018-19, the fiscal year that will close at the end of this month, ESNMC revenue is projected to be approximately $1.4 million. And revenue in fiscal year 19-20 is projected to be approximately $1 million, not $780,000, also to be noted for the record. This revenue will come primarily from fees from newly closed transactions and annual asset management fee income. In addition to these expenses funded by fees ESNMC receives from transactions, ESNMC incurs certain transaction-specific consulting expenses that are paid by borrowers directly from transaction closing proceeds. Such expenses and the reimbursements associated therewith have been excluded from this budget. ESNMC's proposed fiscal year 2019-20 operating budget of $422,000 includes $300,000 of consulting expenses related to ESNMC's consultant, Rise Community Capital, for deployment of the 2016 NMTC allocation and preparation of a 2019 NMTC allocation application, and $100,000 for legal and accounting services associated with the closed NMTC transactions. The remaining $22,000 is projected for insurance and other non-personal services. The directors are hereby requested to approve the proposed ESNMC budget for fiscal year 2019. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Are there questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item?
Just ask you one more time to run through the numbers of how much revenues you said 700 for.
So seriously, yeah. So for last year, for fiscal year 2017-18, it was $700,000. And the projected revenue for 18-19, which will close at the end of this month, is $1.4 million.
And 1 million next year.
And $1 million next year, yeah.
And why does it toggle so much, just depending on the?
Yeah, so it's based on the fees that we receive from closed transactions, basically. So we generally receive a 4% fee for all the closed transactions.
So it's just how many deals you have in that year.
So in this calendar
Have
year,
a big year this year.
we had a big year.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Any comments from the public? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
I'll second. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. John Evan, please present the next item on today's agenda. Thank you. John Evan Show. Authorization to enter into contracts for consulting services.
Thank you. This is a request for authorization to enter into contract with Rise Community Capital LLC to provide consulting services to Empire State New Market Corporation in connection with the ESNMC's current allocation and potential future allocation of federal new market tax credits and deployment thereof. On October 29th, 2018, ESNMC issued a request for proposals to solicit proposals for NMTC consulting services. The RFP was posted on the Empire State Development website and the Contract Reporter website. Responses were due on November 23rd, 2018, and were received from one consulting firm, Rise. Staff therefore recommends that Rise, a minority and women-owned business, be awarded the contract for a period of 4 years under the terms outlined within your materials. The maximum contract amount, $600,000, and the funding sources are ESNMC fees and operating funds. Pursuant to state finance law, Section 139J and 139K, and the corporation's policy related thereto, staff has considered the proposed contractor's ability to perform the services provided for in the proposed contract and consulted the list of offerers determined to be non-responsible bidders and debarred offerers maintained by the New York State Office of General Services. Based on the foregoing, staff considers the proposed contractor to be responsible. The directors are hereby requested to make a determination of responsibility with respect to the proposed contractor and authorize the corporation to enter into contract with Rise Community Capital LLC for an amount not to exceed $600,000. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Any questions or comments from the directors with respect to this item?
Yeah, John Evan, is this a new set of services that is being contracted, or something that is already underway?
It's an existing set of services that actually Rise is our current consultant, and they will continue on as our consultant. And they've been doing an excellent job for us. They help us with pipeline, sourcing pipeline, and also closing transactions. So we've had no problems with it. And they were helpful in our application and our successful award of $55 million.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Comments from the public? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Once again, you're back up, this time for a request for authorization to enter into a contract for accounting services.
Thank you again. This is a request for authorization to enter into contract with Cone Resnick LLP for accounting services to Empire State New Market Corporation with ESNMC's current allocation and potential future allocation of federal new market tax credits and deployment thereof. On November 5th, 2018, ESNMC issued a request for proposals to solicit proposals for NMTC accounting services. The RFP was posted on the Empire State Development Corporation website and the Contract Reporter website. Responses were due on November 30th, 2018, and were received by one accounting firm, Cone Resnick. Staff therefore recommends that the contract be awarded Cone Resnick for a period of 4 years under the terms outlined in your materials. The maximum contract amount is $500,000, and the funding sources are ESNMC fees and operating funds. Pursuant to state law, Section 139J, 139K, and the corporation's policy related thereto, staff has considered the proposed contractor's ability to perform the services provided for in the proposed contract and consulted the list of offerers determined to be non-responsible bidders and debarred offerers maintained by the New York State Office of General Services. Based on the foregoing, staff considers the proposed contractor to be responsible. The directors are hereby requested to make a determination of responsibility with respect to the proposed contractor and authorize the corporation to enter into contract with Cone Resnick LLP for an amount not to exceed $500,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Are they the current providers of the service?
They are the current provider, yeah. Again, also very happy with their services.
Any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? Any questions or comments from the public? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for your participation in today's meeting. Being no further business, I would call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Then it's done. I am out of here.